Hello, I'm Kendra Von Esch, and you are listening to my 10-minute daily podcast, Reality Reflections. I bought into what this world said would make me happy. Money, prestige, power. And hey, if it feels good, do it, because life is stressful, so party hard. Do whatever makes you happy. But that didn't quite work out, because I felt even more insecure, full of fear, shame, and anxiety, and never, ever good enough. Then God found me and flipped my reality upside down and transformed my life. And I want this for everyone. So I left my executive career to help others find true acceptance, supernatural peace, joy, and love that only comes from a relationship with God. Here is my reality reflection for today. Sorry for the interruption, but you want to do a podcast, don't you? It is not hard. Just go to Spotify for podcasters, download the app, just use your phone. You don't need any fancy dancy equipment, and let your voice be heard. Everyone has something to say. You too. And you never know what heart you are going to touch with your inspiration. I want to talk to everybody about our own control. And what can we do when the world around us is falling apart, where we don't see any justice, we see nothing but corruption? And also in our own families, we can see there's something going on spiritually. I know a lot of you follow a lot of people. You're thinking about the illumination. You're thinking about end times. You're seeing practically Armageddon all around us. And one can be freaking out. That is why I want us all to take a moment and pause. Do not be fearful, angry, frustrated. Do not tailspin into, oh my gosh, I have to get all of my children and my spouse and my family and friends converted over to Catholicism. Let me remind you that not even Jesus could do many miracles in his own town because they were mocking him and making fun of him. Isn't this the carpenter's son? So, don't think that you are the person that's going to be the converter, if you will, or the reverter, if you will. So what do you do? We have got to just work on ourselves. I live in the state of Illinois. It is very corrupt. There is no justice. There are lawsuits and things have raised up to the Illinois State Supreme Court. It's like the highest level of courts in the state. And they are ruling against the Constitution. For example, we had our governor, really not our governor, but our Supreme Court in our state say that assault weapons were banned. Well, I'm sorry, the government doesn't give us those rights. In the Constitution, it is our God-given right to bear arms, and it shall not be infringed. Nobody, no government, no highest court can take that away. But they did. In addition, they passed this no cash bail law. It's called the Safety Act, which basically says, okay, if you're a criminal and we arrest you, you can be let go. No cash bail. We don't need to put up anything. And why would they do that? Why would they do that? Because A, they want to buy those votes. And B, they want those people to cause chaos and riots and blame it, which is what's happening now. If you actually hear and pay attention to the narration of what they're building, they're saying that, because of all this stuff that's going on with Donald Trump and the MAGA supporters, they're all turning violent. And they're rioting and they're looting, which is the complete opposite of people who are on that side of the quote unquote political party. I don't consider myself a Republican. I don't consider myself a MAGA person. I consider myself a Catholic Christian. And I look at law and order and the right thing to do. And I try to do it. And guess what? It does align with the quote unquote far right extremists. But I better be careful what I say, because Illinois just put out a doxing law and they changed what we can say as freedom of speech, our First Amendment here in the United States. So if I saw someone looting or I saw someone being robbed and I took a video of it on my phone and I decided to share it and then say, I wonder if this is because of the Safety Act. Because again, the Safety Act is no cash bail. So people are just robbing people everywhere. And if I put it on social media, I can now be doxxed and held criminally responsible for sharing that information. So they are trying to shut down freedom of speech, free speech. Isn't that crazy? Y'all know that happened to me on YouTube. Now I have a law in my own state. So I could have got up this morning and been raging about this. But I have to say, okay, Lord, this is your will. This happened because you allowed it to. Maybe it's to wake up some people in this liberal state. Maybe some of those people who supported this governor are now going to be thinking, whoa, wait a minute, this isn't right. So I myself am in this quandary because, again, like I said, I speak truth. I am not fearful of it. But I know that both my mom and my husband, back in the day when I got shunned on YouTube, hey, be careful. Because it's not just happening to people like Donald Trump at that level. It is happening all over the place to people that I know. I don't know if I've ever shared this on the podcast, but I know a person personally. I've spent the night at her house. I know her very well. She went to the January 6th protests in Washington, D.C. And about a month later, when she came home, she had 2 FBI agents come to her place of work to talk to her about her trip there. She was smart enough to take her phone out and record the entire thing. But you're talking about a person who wasn't even there when the riots went down. She was back at her hotel. How did they even get her information? She's a nobody. This is the whole thing. It's not just these higher level people that we have to say, oh, well, it's because they're a celebrity or they're this or they're that. It's not going to happen to me. Not the case. Now you can look at your life around you. That's a little bit more hitting home. You can see what's going on out there. You're kind of maybe afraid of the end times, the illumination. Time is running out. But you need to be calm and you need to trust God and you just need to work on you. So you keep yourself informed and you share information and you keep yourself on the straight and narrow path and you be a witness of your trust in God. You can keep being you. But don't try to go convert and revert every friend, relative, spouse into Catholicism. And trust in God's mercy. I've thought about this a lot. So, God, according to the Catholic Church, if my husband is not a practicing Catholic or in mortal sin, he's going straight to hell. I know my husband. He is a wonderful man. He has a heart of gold. There are many times where I am like, he is such a better person than I am. He's way holier than me. I have to trust that God is going to look at my husband's heart and show mercy. And I have to trust that if it's God's will to have my husband practice the faith, that he will have that happen. We don't know God's ways. Yes, it is the quote unquote rule, but God's the ultimate ruler. So all I've got to do is work on me and love him more and show by my witness of my life how much I love the faith, how much I love confession, how much I love the Eucharist, how much I love Mary. He saw me bawling when I went to the Assumption at our friend's house up in Michigan City, Indiana, and it was so beautiful. I just couldn't stop crying. And he came into the bathroom. Gosh, am I going to start crying again? I'm pulling it together, people. Hang on. Whew. He came into the bathroom. I was kind of getting ready. And I don't know what I was doing in there. I wasn't going to the bathroom, don't worry. But he came in and I was actually wiping the tears because I had another fit of bawling, of gratitude, and just so much thanks filling my heart for my faith and for Mary. So what do? Turn it over. Lord, I'm humbly giving you my family. Mary, St. Joseph, the Holy Family, right? Jesus, Mary, Joseph. I'm handing over my whole family to you. And then we need to pull in the Holy Spirit so that we can honestly find that peace and that joy and that love for where we are right now in this 24-hour period. If I sat and got all upset about all these illegal, unjust things that are happening in my state and how it could impact me and my family, I could be swirling in an array of emotions that would not make me a very happy person to be around. I would not be a peaceful person. And that is going to then rub off on all the other people that are around me. If I let it go and I say, okay, Lord, you have allowed this to happen. I don't know your ways. I don't know your timing, but I give it all to you. I am then walking that faithful, trusting, narrow path that is so hard to stay on. So I hope that this gives you hope. That's really what it's about. Hope and faith, and looking at God and saying, okay, this is happening for a reason. It's either sanctifying me or it's sanctifying people around me. And most often, we have to look at, how does God really want me to react to this? Like I said, with all the stuff that's going on from a political perspective, I could be fit to be tied and an angry person right now. But I sit and I say, okay, there's still more steps that can be taken in the quote-unquote law. Okay, let's take it out of the Illinois Supreme Court and bring it up to the United States Supreme Court, which again is also potentially corrupt. But what I do see is truth. I see truth coming out, and people are waking up day by day, moment by moment, with all of this madness. And so for those of you who are fearful about the illumination and end times, and I've got to find a refuge and all of that, just stop, please, for your own sanity. This is where we need to pull back in, because guess what? God is going to take care of you. And God wants everyone. It's biblical. I don't know where it is in the book. I got to find it. But God is going to bring your children back. God is going to bring your loved ones, your relatives, your spouses back to Him. So what do? You pray more, you sacrifice more, you live that witness more. That's all you can control. It's like the Serenity Prayer. God, just show me that I can only control me, but I need your grace so that I can do it. And I need to be reminded as the days go on, as information comes to me, either from my spouse or from, friends, relatives, relationships, when stuff goes awry, or when I see what's going on in the world and it just frustrates me and gets me angry or mad. Like, Lord, help me to stop, pause, and pray and give it to you again. It's the walk of humility, but the walk of humility should bring you peace. We've got to trust that God's got this. God's got this, okay? But we've got to give it to Him in order for us to be free of those emotions that are going to suck us down, weigh us down, push us down. We should all be feeling light and free, and people should probably be looking at us saying, what are you so happy about? Look at the world around us. Look at our situation in our family. Why are you so peaceful, joyful, and loving? Because we've got God. That's the reason. That's where we glorify Him. And we say, hey, we don't know the ways of God, but He allowed this to happen. And again, it's sanctifying us, or it's sanctifying people around us. And we should really just be looking at, how is this supposed to be making me holier? And I'm pretty sure it's in humility. Because if we're filled with pride, we want to control things, and we want things the way we want them when we want them. So chill. Give it to God. Sit with Him and be humble. And change your attitude. Okay, I am back home. Today is a day to get the house back in order, but I have promised everyone on the Soul, Mind, and Body group membership on YouTube that I will put a new prayer meditation out there. And the point and purpose of that is so that we can really meditate with God and say, Lord, I do not want to be this fearful person, this person who's angry about what's going on in the world, this person who is out of control with this substance or these emotions. I would rather be this peaceful, joyful, humble, loving person that people are attracted to, that is different from the world. I want to have a zeal for life. I want to get out there and be grateful for everything, even in the midst of what honestly seems like hell on earth. That's the meditation. And I promise I will have it done by Sunday. I have to give myself a deadline. Otherwise, I think that spirit of procrastination is just going to keep pushing me. And the reason I'm doing it also by Sunday is because my husband will be golfing for a few days and I will have the house to myself, which is where I do my best video work. All right, look, just work on you. Trust that God's got everybody else. Because you know what? If you're a flaming freak right now and people are looking at how out of control you are, how angry you are, how unloving you are, unaccepting, judgmental. I'm speaking to one person. You may think it's you, where you're maybe judging others who are not Catholic, judging others in your family, and having a hard time loving them where they are. Go to confession, everyone. Start taking these emotions And these vices, they are vicious. That's where vice comes from. They are vicious thoughts, vicious emotions, vicious behaviors. And we need the grace of God to clean our soul and to be renewed again. Remember, the renewal of our mind every day, the renewal of our soul every day. Soul, mind, and body. If you saw, nope, that was just for the members only. So most of you didn't hear this, but I thoroughly enjoyed my 5 days at my friend's lake house. And I feel it. According to the scale, according to my data, I'm 2 pounds up. That's nothing. I'm still not even at the highest that I've been during this summer. I was actually quite shocked. I hadn't worked out in 5 days. So I told everyone on the Soul, Mind, and Body group, sorry, everybody else didn't get that video, that look, I'm jumping back on the wagon. I'm jumping back on the path. I had fun. I enjoyed myself. I didn't feel guilty, but I know that I'm not my best. So for me, that's also being a witness with my husband, because I said, I got to get back into working out. I feel different. He goes, well, you don't look any different. You don't look like you've put on any weight. And I said, it's not the weight. It's how I feel. I don't feel like I have the muscle tone like I should. I feel like a little bit more weighed down, a little bit more heavy, not from even a weight perspective, sorry about that, but from like I just feel heavier. And I also mentioned that I want to beef up my prayer time, which is what I had talked about at my friend's house. I said, I had an incredible, deep prayer life when my husband was working and I had all this time in the morning. I would pray for an hour and a half before I went to daily mass. That is not what I do today. And I said this in front of my husband. And so that is something that I'm also going to be cranking up. It's also the soul. Because the more I pray, the more connected I am with God, the more joyful and peaceful I am. And He notices it, because then I'm more loving with Him. I'm more accepting about everything that maybe might have pushed a button or, okay, here it is again. I don't know. It's all tied together. And I was going to go off on another topic, but I just looked down and I saw 21:21. And I'm like, nope, not going any further. We'll save that for another day. All right. Chill, everyone. Focus on you and God. Ask for His grace. And know that this is all happening for a reason. One day we'll look back. And maybe that's already happened in your life. You're like, Lord, I don't know what you're doing in my life, but it is chaos and I can't figure it out. But then 2, 5, 6 months down the line, you turn around and you're like, oh my goodness, I totally know what you were doing there. But when we're in the midst of it, we don't see it. And no more judging others. We got to let that go. And if that's what you're doing, by casting some resentment or saying, well, you should, blah, 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 or you need to, blah, 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 that's judgment. Get your butt into confession, people. All righty, everyone. I love you all so much. It's all good. Just know that God's got this. Big deep breath, pray, and get into today, this 24 hours, and engage. Don't just let life happen to you. Don't let your emotions take over. Engage with God, and it'll be so peaceful and loving. Find something more with God, soul, mind, and body. Run to Mary. Ask St. Joseph to help in your family. And have a blessed and inspired day.